We've had a great hearing. I think most of you gathered from all of their colleagues from across the country that this incident is not just a heartbreaker for Houston, but actually it is a heartbreaker for our entire country. I want to thank again Ranking Member Thompson and the head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus for having the shadow hearing here today. And of course, to thank the Salgado boys for being here to speak with courage and commitment and passion about their father. And now all of us are gathered here today to assure the public, to assure Houston that we will find justice for Mr. Salgado. In the interest of time, we're going to limit our members to 1 minute and then take questions because I want to make sure that everybody is heard. We will begin with our Houston members with our most senior member, Representative Al Green.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Garcia. I'll be brief. Yes, there must be justice, and there has to be justice in spite of the cover-up that's taking place, in spite of the ethnic cleansing that's taking place in our country. There must be justice, and that justice has to include the President of the United States of America, who is at the head of this crime that's taking place. And when that justice is served, a part of it will be impeachment. I will bring articles of impeachment against the President of the United States of America for the injustice that he is perpetrating upon people in this country.
Next, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, also from Houston.
Thank you, Congresswoman Garcia, and thank you again to our colleagues from across the country who've come to Houston to witness what we have seen, which is an incredible community facing an unimaginable and unconscionable, unconstitutional tragedy here in Houston. And I think one of the things that we saw in the hearing that's important to make clear is that the draconian immigration policies that we have seen instituted in the last year and a half are not making our communities safer. They are putting our communities in danger. They are completely inconsistent with accepted law enforcement practices, and this has to come to an end. And so I'm so grateful for everyone who's here today. I'm grateful to you, Congressman Garcia, for your leadership, and we are all here to ensure that justice is done.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Representative Christian Menifee, also from Houston.
Thank you, Congresswoman Garcia. ICE is the most well-funded law enforcement agency in this country. But what we found out at this hearing today, and what we've known for a couple of weeks, is that they are failing to do the basic requirements of law enforcement. The officers who killed Mr. Salgado Araujo did not have body-worn cameras. They shot into a moving vehicle despite there being no evidence that they absolutely had to do so to protect their lives. And we've seen across the country, they are masked instead of showing their identity to the people in our communities. Congress needs to fully investigate ICE. We've seen the president pinch pennies on SNAP benefits. He's pinched pennies on veterans benefits. If we're going to be spending all this money on ICE, we need to be in a position to hold them accountable. And when Democrats take the House back in January, I fully expect that the investigations will begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Lorenzo Salgado of New York.
Thank you, Congresswoman Garcia. A crime has been committed, and there is a cover-up. ICE is not here. DHS is not here. The FBI is not here, all of which were duly invited. And what we heard from the district attorney of Harris County is that there is no cooperation whatsoever with these federal agencies and his investigation. So we will hold these agencies accountable. We will continue our oversight duties, and the money given to ICE, $113 billion, must be rescinded, must be clawed back. This is a horrendous injustice.
Thank you. Next is Representative Barragan of California.
Thank you, Sylvia, for hosting. I used to serve as chair of the border sub on Homeland. So I have seen how ICE has gone over the last 10 years, just move to a time that we're in now, totally out of control, totally rogue. It's an agency that doesn't have the same standards as your local police department hiring standards and use of force standards. Your local police has to show their name. They don't have masks on. They wear body cameras. What was most disturbing of what we heard today was what the DA said over and over again. They are not getting the full cooperation to get everything that they need to investigate this. Because we need to make clear that nobody is above the law, not ICE officers, nobody. Everything needs to be investigated, and we need to bring justice to this family. And this is not the only family. There's families in Maine, the family of Renee Good, the family of Alex Preddy, and the list goes on and on. And so we need to continue to highlight these stories because this president, this administration, and this agency is not going after serious criminal offenders like they promised. They're going after our brothers, our sisters. We heard today, a good man who was just going to work, who's been in Houston for decades. So we will continue to fight for justice. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Representative Castro of San Antonio, Texas.
Under Donald Trump, ICE has become an abusive and rogue organization that I believe should be disbanded. There has been brutality on the streets. We have seen American citizens killed, as well as good, hardworking people like Lorenzo. We've also seen a brutality inside the prison walls of places like Dilley and Carnes and Pearsall and detention centers across the country where others have died as well. We're living in a very ugly time because of Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. The question is, what will we do about it? Will there be justice for Lorenzo and others? And will there be accountability for those who have violated and broken the law? The answer must be yes in our country. And I look forward to working with all of my colleagues to pursue it.
I think in this room, it's probably a unanimous yes, Congressman. Next up is Andrea Salinas. Representative Salinas is from Oregon.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you to my colleagues for bringing us here today. I am Andrea Salinas from the great state of Oregon's Willamette Valley, and I'm here today for the Salgado family. I'm here to say sorry that their government could not protect their father. Not only could they not protect him, they killed him. This is happening too often, and we learned today that only one ICE agent has been investigated, yet we know of 8 killings. This is not justice. That is why we're here today. In the short term, it means events just like this, to raise awareness, to let community members know that we have your back, that it is okay to go to mass, it is okay to go to the grocery store, it is okay to go to school, to be a family, out in public, to go to the parks. We have your back. In the medium term, it means making sure that we pass legislation that actually helps to protect the civil rights of Latinos across the country and of our communities. And in the long term, it means these investigations that have to take place. They have to take place when Democrats are in control, when we hold this administration accountable, when we hold CBP accountable, when we hold ICE accountable. We have passed so many measures to pull back the funding from ICE. And let's be honest, our Republican colleagues keep funneling them more and more money. And as was said earlier, they are the largest law enforcement agency and the most funded law enforcement agency in this country. This has to stop.
Yes, it must stop. And joining us in that effort is Congressman James Walkinshaw from Virginia.
Thank you. I came from Virginia today to show my support for Congresswoman Garcia, for the people of Houston, and for the Salgado family. And the American people will never see exactly what happened to Lorenzo Salgado Araujo because there's no body camera footage. But every single American has the opportunity to see in the eyes of his sons the pain and devastation of this reckless, out of control mass deportation agenda. And that pain and devastation exists in the eyes of families in every corner of the nation, including my home in Virginia. And that's why we're here today saying enough is enough. It is past time to end this violence, and we're going to take that message back with us to Washington.
Thank you. Next, we have Representative Menendez of New Jersey.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you for organizing this forum. Thank you to all of the Texas delegation that were here today. Thank you to Chairman Espaillat and all of our colleagues. I'm Rob Menendez. I come from New Jersey's 8th Congressional District. I've been to field hearings in Minneapolis after the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. I've been to field hearings in Newark to combat what's been happening there at Delaney Hall. My plea to the American people is don't wait for this to happen in your community. Speak out now. The best time would have been yesterday, but speak out now because this is not who we are as a country. And this will arrive at our doorstep, whether we acknowledge that or not. It will impact us directly or impact those that we care about. I had a look into the eyes of 2 young men who lost their father. That should not be happening in our country at the hands of the federal government. And we can stop it. Us here, the elected representatives, will be at the tip of the spear in pushing back against this administration. But the more people that join the chorus of Americans who are saying this is wrong and unacceptable, the stronger we become in pushing back against this and ending this national nightmare and turning the page on the darkness that we have seen. And we're going to keep showing up until we turn that page. We're going to keep showing up and engaging with the American people across the country to get us to those better tomorrows, to end this national nightmare. I'm so thankful for my colleagues that I get to do this work with.
Thank you. And of course, all of us must join in this effort. And with us today, we also have some of our strong allies that have been with us from the very beginning. I'd like to start with Rochelle Garza, Commission Chair of the United States Commission on Civil Rights.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo should still be alive today. His family should be welcoming him home after work, not mourning his death. They should be talking about weekend plans, not protesting for accountability. My name is Rochelle Garza, and I proudly serve as the chair of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Over the past few months, I've heard directly from communities in St. Paul, Minnesota, Chicago, and most recently Los Angeles through the People's Hearings on Immigration Enforcement. It's an effort organized by the Hispanic Federation, the Texas Civil Rights Project, the Miranda Family Fund, and Latino Victory Foundation. And the testimony we've heard is a powerful reminder of why institutions like the Commission on Civil Rights exist. Since its creation in 1957, the Commission was designed to go directly to the communities to document and report on the status of civil rights to the President and Congress. Today, it remains the only independent, bipartisan, fact-finding federal agency with this responsibility. And so I want to thank the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, especially Chair Espaillat and Congresswoman Garcia, for inviting me to listen, to learn, and share what I heard today with my colleagues on the Commission as we deliberate our next investigation. And what I heard today mirrors what I've heard from over 100 individuals impacted by immigration enforcement efforts. I've listened to parents, workers, faith leaders, educators, attorneys, and directly impacted individuals describe how immigration enforcement has changed their lives, how it's harmed their families, and how it's disrupted their neighborhoods. I heard how a father, a U.S. citizen who had filmed ICE activity, exercising his First Amendment rights in St. Paul, found his children fearful of the unmarked ICE vehicle that had parked outside their home. I heard how a mother who had recently given birth was taken from her newborn when she was nursing and denied support to maintain her milk or feed her baby. I heard how a U.S. citizen, a small business owner, was beaten and taken by ICE officers despite his pleas that he was a citizen. And I heard how over 300 car wash employees were disappeared in Los Angeles, separating families, traumatizing those who were lucky enough to be released. The reality of what I heard is the same no matter what city I've been in, from St. Paul to Chicago to Los Angeles to Houston. People are being racially profiled and disappeared. The right to protest is under attack, and people are being killed. As a resident of the Rio Grande Valley, immigration enforcement, for better or worse, has been a part of my life. But what we've seen happen across this country threatens the civil rights of all Americans. As of May of 2026, 400,000 people have been taken by ICE. That's left 145,000 US citizen children without one of their parents. And that includes 22,000 children without either of their parents. That's family separation. And as of July 2026, there are 65,000 people detained in ICE facilities. There have been over 50 deaths, 10 suicides, and at least one of those deaths has been ruled a homicide by a coroner. And all of this has been driven by unprecedented amounts of investment in ICE, the Supreme Court's sanction of racial profiling in Vasquez Perdomo, as well as surveillance, the expansion of the surveillance system. The people being impacted are our neighbors, our friends, our fellow community members, our families. And as a mother to two girls, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, I am absolutely horrified by what is happening, and my heart breaks for Lorenzo's family. The Commission on Civil Rights exists because civil rights violations cannot be ignored simply because they are difficult or politically controversial. With each tragedy, the calls for an independent investigation into immigration enforcement have grown louder and increasingly bipartisan. These calls have now gone beyond our borders, with the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights requesting an investigation into all deaths in ICE custody. The people's hearings on immigration enforcement demonstrated the urgent need for that scrutiny, and it is my hope that our commission agrees to investigate and make clear that civil rights protections do not end where immigration enforcement begins. For Lorenzo's family and for all families whose worlds have been shattered by federal immigration enforcement, there are people that you will never meet that are grieving with you, and they are demanding justice, and we will get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we all look forward to working with you to ensure that the commission does act and do that investigation, because it is sorely, sorely needed. Next up, we have Rafael Colasso, Senior Director, Political Campaigns and Executive Director, Unidos U.S. Action Fund, and Eric Olguin, Unidos U.S. Texas State Director.
Thank you, Congresswoman. On behalf of Unidos U.S., I just want to reiterate our serious and deepest condolences to the Salgado family, as we've been all reflecting over these last few weeks. You know, Don Lorenzo was the kind of father, the kind of husband, and neighbor and friend that we all deserve in our lives. And we have to do everything we can, and Unidos U.S. will stand with the family and all of our allied partners here and members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus to do all we can to bring justice for the enclosure for this wonderful family. It's clear that ICE is broken, and we need to do all we can to, first of all, bring justice and transparency into this investigation. It was incredulous to sit in this room today and hear the Houston District Attorney lay out very plainly that there's a pretty obvious cover-up happening in this investigation on the federal level. And so we need to not only bring justice to this and transparency to this investigation, but we have to support the members of the CHC, our allied partners in Congress, our allied partners around the country, to truly rein in this unjust organization in our federal immigration system, so that they go by the same training standards and best practices of law enforcement that every other law enforcement agency across the country abides by. Again, Unidos U.S. Is proud to stand with our allied partners, with this wonderful family, with the members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, to call for transparency, accountability, justice, and an immigration enforcement system that abides by the rule of law and truly reflects the values of our great nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And next we have Frankie Miranda, President and CEO of the Hispanic Federation.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the more than 850 organizations that we represent at the Hispanic Federation, direct service providers in communities who are under attack by this administration, trying to cut the services, essential services to our communities, I want to express my outrage. This is an agency, ICE is an agency that under the excuse of ineptitude, not having enough resources, not being able to get cameras, not being able to follow the rules, are perfecting a machine of terror. We saw it in the people's hearings in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, and in many other cities. I want to elevate what Congressman Menendez said. We cannot wait for this to happen in your neighborhood. And that is why national organizations are teaming up with local organizations to make sure that people have the information that they need, that people can be trained as constitutional observers, but at the same time that we can express our outrage. We are all outraged. And that is why we need to continue cooperating. Thank you to these 11 members. I wish we had many, many more here, but you are American heroes. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and we're committing all our resources to continue preserving testimony of the many, many other abuses that have happened in this country, and unfortunately, we still don't know about them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We may be 11, but we're just as angry, outraged, and we're strong and loud. I want to remind you that one of the letters that I introduced for the record was signed by 180 members, all demanding an independent, transparent, top-to-bottom investigation, all demanding answers, and all demanding justice for Mr. Salgado. Next up, we have Catherine Pichardo, President and CEO of the Latino Victory Project.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Catherine Pichardo, soy presidenta de Latina Victory y estamos aquí para exigir transparencia, exigir responsabilidad, exigir justicia. Estamos en un momento muy difícil en nuestro país para la comunidad latina y para todos los americanos. Un momento que no podemos desperdiciar, un momento que tenemos que crear comunidades más fuertes, comunidades más resilientes, trabajar unidos, porque tenemos un gobierno y agencias como ICE que están fuera de control. Y necesitamos un Congreso que pueda hacer un contrapeso a lo que está haciendo este presidente y estas agencias. Por eso quiero agradecer a los miembros que están aquí hoy y necesitamos más. Quiero exhortar a toda nuestra comunidad a que este año hay unas elecciones muy, muy importantes para el Congreso de los Estados Unidos. Salgamos a votar. Vamos a hacer nuestras voces sonar y resonar, que se repiquen por todo el mundo, que la comunidad latina no se deja. Muchísimas gracias.
Next, we have Dayana Isa, Texas State Director, Mi Familia Vota.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm no politician, but I am here on behalf of the community, a community that has really shown up for the Salgado family, but a community that is also outraged by all of the attacks that our communities have seen under this administration. On behalf of Mi Familia Vota, our hearts are with the Salgado family as they grieve this unimaginable loss. Lorenzo Salgado Araujo represented the very best of our community. We stand with his loved ones as they seek truth, justice, and accountability. Lorenzo's death also focuses us to confront a much larger issue. Immigration detention is not intended to be punitive, and a person's immigration status should never determine whether their life is valued. Yet too many people are dying in ICE detention, at least 21 already this year, and too many others have lost their lives during immigration enforcement operations. As we have heard today, ICE and DHS's initial account of what happened to Lorenzo does not align with the reality described by those that were here today. We know now that the 3 eyewitnesses who were in the vehicle have stated that Lorenzo stopped the car, put it in park, and fire was still put upon. This is not an isolated incident. Too often, initial accounts from ICE and DHS are later contradicted by video evidence, witness testimony, or findings in court. Time and time again, we have seen cases where the facts ultimately tell a very different story than the one presented to the public. Lorenzo's family, the people of Houston, and the American people deserve a full and transparent investigation, as we have heard over and over again. We demand that the eyewitnesses currently in ICE custody be allowed to remain in the country so that they can testify about what they saw, and that ICE fully comply with any court orders preventing their removal. We also deserve to know how the initial public narrative was created and approved. Public trust depends on transparency, and the trust has been seriously damaged. Aggressive enforcement tactics that undermine constitutional rights and due process make every community less safe. Immigration enforcement must respect the Constitution, the rule of law, and the dignity of every human life. Today, Latino communities across this country are living with fear, as we have also heard over and over again. Many people, they are being targeted not because of criminal conduct, but because of the color of their skin, the language that they speak, where they shop, or the neighborhoods that they call home. The fear cannot become the defining feature of American society, and it must never become the defining feature of our immigration system. Latino families deserve the same safety, dignity, and equal protection as every other Houstonian. Our community will not be silenced, even if the Trump White House continues to use inflammatory anti-immigrant rhetoric, and we will continue to speak out, organize, and demand accountability. I urge all of us that are eligible to vote these elections. Too much is at stake. And thank you, everybody here, allied and members of Congress, for the support.
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes our opening remarks. If there's any questions from the press, either directed to me or to any of the members or allies present. In the pink.
Thank you. Congresswoman Garcia, you mentioned that you really wanted to get transparency in terms of what was happening with this investigation. Was there anything in particular you wanted to learn today, and any questions that you still have in terms of how things are proceeding at the federal and local level?
Well, as I directed a question to the DA, I mean, I would like to know who the shooter is and get some assurance that he's not on the streets anywhere in America, and might take the same, in what I consider unlawful, excessive, abusive force that he took. Because I think if any time that I've been around in law enforcement, whenever there's a shooting, they immediately put that person on administrative leave. They make sure that that person is no longer in the streets. We haven't gotten that assurance. So that is one of the questions that I still have. Next, sir.
Somebody mentioned Woody Park and what happened here. And the end result was that law enforcement here in Houston, across the country, had longer times to train. How long are ICE agents being trained? Because I've heard it was not long at all before they put them in the field.
Well, I'm hearing everything from 2 weeks to months, but I'll defer to who had that briefing, Mr. Whiteshot. Can you know that answer?
Yeah, I can,
More specific.
currently ICE says it's 40 days. And here's what we know, though. They have removed from the training for ICE officers critical elements that existed before around use of force, around their use of firearms. And what ICE will say is, well, we're teaching the same curriculum, but in a shorter period of time. And I mentioned my son earlier, he's starting kindergarten pretty soon. And if the principal of the school told me, we're going to teach him the exact same material, but do it in half the time, I wouldn't buy it. And I don't buy it with respect to ICE either. They're cutting corners.
Way in the back. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for having this today. Do you see, given that you all are Democrats here and you don't have the Republicans, and it is hard to get into bipartisanship in Congress, do you see anything coming from this forum? And were there any pathways that were mentioned today, any elements that were mentioned today that you see in a different route than the legislative, being regulatory or other, where you could bring about some kind of form change or whatever for this resolution?
Well, I think one of the things you'll see is what we've already done. I mean, we put out a 10-point plan for reforms in ICE We also all have committed to not providing one more penny of funding for ICE. Those are all real concrete things that we're already doing. And I think all of us here gathered today represent, probably 7 or 8 different committees. And I can tell you that all the committees of jurisdiction are already looking at what they can do. So yes, this will result in more. And as I stated earlier, this is just one hearing. There will be more requests for documents. There will be more. We will keep the heat on. We're not going to just let this go away or try to have anybody pull it under the rug or cover it up. We will continue the fight. Any other member would like to add to that from any other committees of jurisdiction? Well, we'll go on to the next one. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Garcia, you mentioned those letters that have been sent to ICE that haven't been responded to. You noted obviously also that they're not here today. If they're not responding to members of Congress now, what makes you think that will change?
Well, I'm very hopeful that November will change things, and we will be able to get some answers. I was, in the interest of full disclosure, I did have a conversation with the acting director of ICE, and that is when he committed that there would be body cameras on all agents in the field by the end of this month. Later, I had a conversation with the Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security. He indicated that was too soon, they needed enough time, so now he's saying 45 to 90 days. So even if we manage to make sure that they do it, that will be, frankly, a big win because right now we have nothing. So I want to make sure that the public understands that it may be small steps, but we will get there because we're not going to get stopped until we get justice for Mr. Salgado and some changes in ICE, period, full stop.
Let me add something.
Sure.
Thank you. The Honorable Benny Thompson was here today. He is currently the ranking member of Homeland Security, the committee in Congress. And as such, he has sent a letter to the head of ICE as well as DHS, I suppose. And in that letter, there were many questions that were asked, but he's laying the foundation for a future hearing. All of the Democratic members on the committee signed the letter. The Democrats are committed to an investigation, transparency, and accountability.
Anyone else? Sure.
What has changed is that this is a watershed moment for the Latino community. We've had over 175,000 people sign petitions. Financial support has come into the family as well. We have over 300 vigils that are actually planned for Saturday, all around the country itself. And so post-Preddy and Ray Nicole Good, folks kind of lost attention to what was happening, but the detention, the deportations effectively continued. The Latino community is standing up for ourselves. That is what you're seeing here. We're standing up across the country. Over 20,000 people in Houston alone signed that petition, which I delivered to the mayor this morning. Over 57,000 people in Texas alone signed that petition, in 831 cities of 971 in this state. People are paying attention. Latinos are standing up. Our coalition is stronger than it has ever been, and with the support of Sylvia Garcia, Adriano, and the CHC, and all of these members here, you're going to start to see a significant shift coming because Latinos are tuned in, and we will hold them accountable in November.
Let me just say that much needs to be done. In fact, the body camera program is not codified, is not contemplated in law, although money, $20 million, were appropriated for it. So that program was piloted by the previous administration, obviously stopped by this new administration, and now is done haphazardly across the country, but it's not law. It should be, all of the things that we are proposing should be contemplated and should be done through legislation. Dream and Promise Act, body cameras, farm workers bill. All of these immigration-related pieces that are also in a comprehensive bill should also be looked at individually and be codified. We cannot rely on departmental regulation for, let's say, body cameras. It should be mandated by law, and I think that's what we plan to do.
Thank you. We've got members with flights, so I'll take just one more question with the red cap.
Yes, hi, thank you. What is the message to the large and growing chorus of people in this country around the world who see ICE as a department that has been baked in hatred and terror and unconstitutionality? Individuals who would like to see the agency go away entirely, given its approach towards people on our streets. What is the message to those folks? I hear a lot about reform, that's why I asked.
Well, it starts with reforms, it starts with changes, but I think you probably heard there's been a number of words used during the testimony today, disbanding, retooling, rebuilding. The bottom line is it's got to change. What it's doing now is unacceptable, it's un-American, it's unconstitutional, it's humane, and it's unchristian. And we will work hard to make sure we get that done. Now, what will result, hopefully, will be a just, humane immigration system. People have to remember that immigration, violation of immigration law by in itself is not a crime. It's not a crime. It's administrative law. It's no different than someone who isn't paying their IRS. They're not committing a crime until they're convicted, but they're in violation of an IRS rule. So to me, it's about making sure that we make the changes necessary, and we are all committed to doing that.
Let me add this to that.
Very quickly, because we need to adjourn.
I'll be very
Excuse me.
quick if you don't mind. If the Secretary of what is now War can change the Department of Defense to the Department of War, then I cannot see why we can't change ICE and reform ICE. It can become ICE today and nice tomorrow.
Well, with that note, we will adjourn, but of course, some of our members may be available for any one-on-ones or any follow-up that you might have at their pleasure. Thank you.